Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Patriotic Christian here. Hope you're all well. So, I have just had my haircut. One of my friends, actually. I would consider him as a friend now. I've been going to him for, I'd say, a good 2 years. And believe it or not, he's Muslim. And he's Kurdish. And we're on the same page. And believe it or not, he'll be on the same page as many of you. In fact, he is now a subscriber to my YouTube channel, which I didn't know about. And he's watched my videos, and he knows my views of Islam and my views on some Islamic literature, and texts. But he also knows as well. It's like I said to him, I said, because it's true, we British are tolerant folk. I said, but we admire people like yourselves, because he loves this country. He genuinely loves this country. And albeit he's a Muslim and he's on the wrong path, and every time I go in, we talk about religion, and I try and guide him. Onto the right path, to God. And I try, and I talk to him about the controversy. Believe it or not, I do. I sit there, and some of the other customers, they're amazed that I'm actually saying what I'm saying. And we'll be discussing the age of Aisha when Muhammad murdered. We'll be discussing all sorts. Some of the verses from Reliant to the Traveller, some of the verses from Heavenly Ornaments, from the Hadiths, the Quran, everything. And he's laid back. He's Kurdish, and you get that with quite a lot of Kurds. I've had where my partner, where she lives in Wales, I had a barber there who also was Kurdish, and they were trying to guide me into Islam, but obviously I'm a student, if you like, of, I would say, religion, because I study all religions. So I knew my stuff already, and I'd already being a Christian, I have my faith, and and I do have respect for all those of all faiths. I do tell him there is, but I do always say, and I'm openly honest with them, there is a problem with Islam. It does need a revolution. It does need some kind of, modernization, if you like. Because this is why there's two different types, I would say, of Muslim. You have the type that I'm friends with, that love this country, have come here, they love it. He's just said to me, it was funny, we were talking, he said, and this is what got me, this is what hit me, and I want you to take this in, guys. He said to me, if England or the UK enter war tomorrow, he goes, I will leave my job, my home, my girlfriend, and I will fight. Yeah? And that actually hit me, because there was a poll done recently showing that only 48%, so that's less than half, of British men would be willing to pick up arms and sacrifice themselves to fight for our country if any war started tomorrow. And that was like it was a poll done, a mass poll done on the general population. That was done primarily to find out, it didn't matter, like the context wasn't if it was Russia or if it was China or if it was by any invaders or anything like that. It was literally just, if there was a war that started tomorrow, like, would you fight for the United Kingdom, for your king and country? And only 48% of the men, because they targeted men in this question, and said yes. So you got to think, one of them is that Kurdish man, and I'm sure there are many like that. And then you have the other Muslims, the ones that are in like Hamas, Hezbollah, Boko Haram, the Houthis. You've got those, the Taliban, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the list goes on. The Muslim Brotherhood. You have those who interpret Islam in a different way. They take Islam literally back to the time of Muhammad and live it as a modern day life, as a modern way of living. And it's amazing because you can sit there and you know, I think to myself sometimes, there are certain ideologies that definitely do need to be banned or prohibited or have some restrictions too in the Western society for us to be able to live a peaceful way of life. But then you go and meet your barber, or you go and meet someone that believes in that certain ideology, and you find they're completely different. And I'm a great judge of character. I know a snake if I see one. I know a fake if I see one. This guy's been cutting my hair for a very long time. And he does genuinely love this country. He talks about how much he loves it all the time. And he says, I said to him before, a few months ago, when you've earned enough money, are you going to go back to Kurdistan and build your life back home there, where you're from? And he says, no. He says, I've come to England, I've come to the UK to stay. And he was just saying then, I was saying that, do you know, we're having big problems at the moment. There's protests. He says, I know. He says, because of the illegal immigrants, yeah? And I said, yeah, that's right. He says, yeah, I don't agree with this. So he's on the same page. And it's funny, because, you know, I've seen on Myra Tusi's videos, I've seen on other people's videos, there are migrants or refugees or people who have come to better their lives here, that do work hard, they have integrated, they have assimilated. And like I said, us British people, we're not racist, we're not racist at all. We have no problems with people who want to come here, work hard and integrate into the system. But we then started talking about culture, and he was saying, this is what he said to me, and I'll be direct and clear. He said, sometimes I do not like certain things that I see, because for me, I grew up in my culture, some of the way the women dress here is, for me, in my brain, is not normal. He says, but I have to respect here it is. That's what he said. And I said, and it's the same for me. I said, if I went to, say, Saudi Arabia, and they told me or my partner or whatever that you couldn't do this or that, then we would respect the laws of that country. We wouldn't just oppose it or set up our own little area and say, no, we're doing this, and rebel. It wouldn't feel right for us, and I'm sure with you guys watching, it wouldn't feel or sit right with you neither. It's like you wouldn't do it in someone's house. It's like you wouldn't go into someone else's house and start mixing up the rules. Would you walk in someone's house who had freshly laid carpets with mucky shoes on and say, I ain't taking my shoes off? And they say, well, we have a rule here, you take your shoes off, and we've just had our carpets on. You said, no. In my house, I wear my shoes because I want to. I don't have carpets. So, why should you not do what you're told? And I was saying to him as well, I was like, you wouldn't let a stranger live in your home, would you, if you had children that sleeping literally in the same property? You just wouldn't let, if someone knocked on your door and you opened it and said, come on in, mate, you know nothing about them, Nothing at all about them. And then not only that, instead of feeding your wife and your children, you give all the food to him. You give him all the money as well. So instead of your wife being able to go and, like, say if we were in America, go and pay for the dentist or something like that, you give it to him and tell him that, no, do you know what? In fact, I'm going to pay for a dentist to come here to sort you out. Oh, by the way, I bought you a mobile phone, I bought you a push bike, and there's a fresh set of clothes upstairs. Brand new Adidas tracksuits, Nike tracksuits. It's all up there waiting for you. And by the way, you can totally agree or disagree with anything that we do. If you don't like what we do, that's absolutely fine. Do what you want. And then the police, will come into the house and they'll have a go at my partner for complaining, and they'll be all right with me. I mean, I'll be there ringing the police because my partner's complaining and my kids are complaining, and then they'll cart my kids off and they'll cart my wife off to prison because they've complained about it on social media. That's what's happening with this country. And when you put it in terms like that, you think, shit, what's going on out there is literally psychotic. Literally. This is our home. Every part, every street, every part of the United Kingdom is our home. And if you're as British as I am, and have ancestors that have lived here for centuries, that have paid into the tax system for centuries or since it existed, and you do at least expect to be treated with just a little bit more respect than those who have never ever paid into a system before or been part of this British island, empire, country, or any part of it. No sacrifices made. And my family have made many sacrifices. Both my great-grandfathers lied about their age when enlisting for World War II. My uncle did 36 years of service, died age 50 of pancreatic cancer. He had just got married, found out his wife was pregnant and he was having a boy, and he got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He worked himself up from age 16 from a soldier. He actually started in cadets before becoming a soldier. He didn't join as an officer, and he worked his way up from the age of 16 to 50 years of age. He could have retired, mind, at 38 after doing his 22 years of service on a full pension, but he continued another 12, and he was Royal Master of Carmen. So he was in charge of the logistics and transportation of the royal family and stuff like that. So he was very high up, Lieutenant Colonel. And he worked up his way up through the ranks. He did tours in Afghanistan, tours in Iraq, wars that we shouldn't have been in. But he did his duty. He pledged his duty to our Queen and country, and he did what he was told. And he had men under him on some of these occasions, under his control, under his direction. He had heavy responsibility. He had a heavy burden on his shoulders. But he carried it well. And then when he was looking at the time of retire to quiet down, marry, and have children, and that time came. It was my mother and grandmother that noticed that he was looking very thin when he come to visit them. So the last time that they saw him, because we didn't see him a lot, because he was always working, flat out working, constantly. He was in a different country, and he even helped out. He did so much voluntary work, it was unreal. He abseiled down the Shard, dressed up as Superman in a Superman costume, and he also volunteered in Haiti after the earthquake, and that's where he met Sean Penn. And him and Sean Penn were offloading aid from trucks. And then he met Mel Gibson and Daniel Craig also, and they became friends of his too. And he had a full military honoured funeral at Wellington Barracks. And you Google Wellington Barracks, how big it is. It's directly opposite Buckingham Palace. And I'll never forget the funeral, where a messenger was sent from the royal family, from Buckingham Palace itself, from the Queen, to say that she personally sends her condolences because she knew Paul and loved Paul, and that she is mourning him today with us, which is absolutely incredible. Imagine that at one of your relatives' funeral. Now, like I said, I hardly got to see him, and that was simply because of his job. He put his country and his duty, his job, his career first before absolutely anything else. And I used to see him about 3 times a year growing up as a kid. But every time we did see him, we used to love seeing him. And he went out with a bang. Once he obviously got diagnosed, he knew that that was it. That time was up. So he threw out this massive party where he invited everyone he knew, all his friends, family, and he had it at this place, massive building in London, very posh, and he paid for all his immediate family and his close friends to stay at hotels, very posh hotels, to be chauffeured round and to travel first class from wherever they lived. So I had a first class train ticket for Great Western Railways from Cheltenham, when I was living in Cheltenham, to go to Paddington, and I was going to be picked up by one of his chauffeurs there, to be taken there, and I would have met all of his celebrity A-class Hollywood actor friends. But I didn't want to go. I couldn't go. I was in a state at the time. I regret it, because I should have said goodbye to my uncle. But part of me didn't want to go because I knew that there was people that were going to go there for the wrong reasons. And this celebration of life, if you like, and it was a goodbye as well, which is again another reason why I didn't go, because I couldn't go and celebrate saying goodbye to someone that was near their deathbed. I couldn't do it. And some people, like the rest of my family, they went. But I wouldn't have been able to sit there, drink, laugh, celebrate, have a good time, dance, knowing that the very man who's paying for all of this, the very man who's invited this, my uncle, my flesh and blood, who gave all he possibly could to this country, was literally about to die. And this was only weeks before he witnessed the birth of his son. Now, Sean Penn did offer for my Uncle Paul to go to America to receive some pioneering treatment that they were doing research in, which may have saved his life, or may not have. It may have prolonged it. However, because of his wife being so heavily pregnant, she wasn't able to travel there. It was too far, and she was too far gone. So he had a choice to make: go there, take the risk of prolonging it, or dying over there potentially, or staying here witnessing the birth of his son and just accepting the treatment what the NHS was going to give it. And he did that bravely. And we didn't think he was going to be able to meet his son, but he did. He stayed alive. He fought. He fought the cancer. And I remember the last time I seen him was on a video call at Christmas. And then he died, I believe it was in January, 10 weeks after his son Frankie was born. And Sean Penn spoke at his funeral, and he had agreed to be Frankie's, my cousin's godfather. And the funeral was just something else. There was literally a double-decker bus that we had to get on from Gloucestershire to London. And when we arrived there, the we're talking a barracks here, so there's a lot of military presence, heavy military presence, and because it was a full military honoured procession or funeral taking place, there was loads of stuff going on, and they were very, very tough on security of you going in, just into the church. And then we went from the church on the bus, followed the coffin to this very, very huge crematorium, which was family and friends, immediate friends only from that point, which was near Brixton. And that's it. And obviously Frankie's grew up without his father. He's a spitting image of him. You've seen photos of him. But yeah, it's like my uncle, he gave all he could, and both my great grandfathers, they both lied about their age and enlisted to fight in World War II. My great grandfather remembers jumping out the planes. I remember him telling the stories. Even my dad, he told my dad the stories when he was younger, of him jumping out the planes with Nazis shooting at him. And whilst he was a paratrooper, you see, so he'd go out, open his chute, and he didn't know like where he was going to land, or if he was going to land on grass even, because he was jumping out at night time, so they couldn't see him. Otherwise he was just a target in the sky. So they'd jump out at night, parachute out at night, you'd have to guess where to land. And he did it, he survived it. He come back and he was the same. He didn't know, but he come back. My nan, she was age 7 when she first met her her father, which is my grandmother, obviously. And she saw him with his Bergen walking up the drive, and she recognised him from a photo on the mantelpiece from where he enlisted. She ran up to him and said, "Dad, you're my dad," and gave him a hug, embraced him. And then obviously the years went on, and he lived to a good age. I think he was around 86, 88, or in his 80s, I know that. When he passed away, he was still riding his push bike to the shop at that age. And just like him, my grandmother now, she's 85, and she hasn't seen a doctor in her life. So my great grandmother, she was 92, I believe, when she passed away, or 94, which is my great grandfather's wife. She was solid as an ox. But you know, that's what I mean. And then my other great grandfather got injured, shot in the leg a few times, so he had a few bullets in the leg, and they had to straighten out his leg as one stiff leg. And yeah, he survived the war too. So my family have given so much and sacrificed so much to this country, and the amount of tax my dad has paid, because he had a well-paid job as a procurement, and he was a buyer at first, but then a procurement manager. The amount of tax, and I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds here, and yet he's type 1 diabetic, and they can't even sort ulcers out on his legs. And the last time he went into a hospital, when I was there with him a couple of years ago, the hospital nearly killed him because the nurse forgot to give him insulin. Not just once, not just twice, not 3 times, but 4 times in 3 days. They didn't give him insulin. Life-saving, normal medication that he would have had at home and access to. Just basic medication. And they were giving him his food before his insulin, which if you're diabetic, it's the other way around. You have to have your insulin before you eat your food. And then by the time they come to do his insulin, his injections, they would take the food away. It would be cold. So they starved him. And then he went into what they call DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis. I was there within 3 days. He had nearly died 4 times. He went grey. And the consultant was worried about him and said that how close to death he was to me. So you can imagine me, my poor grandmother at the age she was. We were there. We took it in turns to sit at his side whilst he was in a hospital bed, holding his hand, telling him to fight through it and that we were there. All because they couldn't remember to give him his meds. And this is how our country is now. Yet those who haven't gave anything, they can come here, simply get given a push bike from Halfords, given a brand new phone upon arrival, given money, given cash, given a 4-star luxury hotel. And then they, instead of appreciating it and thinking, wow, what a lovely country, what amazing people these people are, I want to go out and embrace them and thank them for welcoming me to the country. They go out and prey on our young children, the most vulnerable in our society, and our women. There have been incidents that you know of that have taken place. Some most heinous incidents that Britain has ever experienced. Stuff that we never knew or even heard of just a couple of decades ago. Now, knife crime, stabbings and shootings now is just normal for us. It shouldn't be normal. I remember when I was a kid, when a murder had happened and it made the news, the family would gather around the TV in shock. Like, oh, did you know that someone's been murdered? What? Really? Now, it's a daily occurrence. It's not normal. And unfortunately, we can't access things that people, so like myself, whose family have lived here for centuries, paid into the system, sacrificed their lives, fought for their king or queen of country. We can't access the simple necessities that we pay for as taxpayers. Yet, we've got these people coming here illegally as criminals, and they're being treated better than we are. And the worst part is that if we moan about it, if we consider moaning about it, even on our social media, you will get more time in prison for moaning about it than the likes of Hugh Edwards, who likes to indulge himself in watching child pornography. Yeah. That's who we are. That's what we've become. So, as much as I love my country, I don't like what it's become, and I don't like the way it's headed. But anyway, I put in the community earlier that we're in the middle of making 2 short videos, or 2 short films, if you like. They'll be uploaded soon. But I've just bought some new kit that I'll be testing out, so I will be doing a short live stream, possibly later on, if not tomorrow. And if I don't get round to it then it'll be in a few days' time. But I thought I'd just drop this video by because I just wanted you guys to know. I wanted you to take on board that it's not all those who come here. Not all those who come here that want to see the down or the fall, if you like, of Britain. And there are those actually that have come here that are willing to lay down their lives, more so than some of our own. And yet then they weren't even born here, and they're willing to give up their lives for this country. And many did in World War I and II. We had help from all over the world. People from even the Muslims, they helped us. Some of them did. They did. And this is the problem. And we're in this problem where how do we decipher who is good and who is bad? And the only way we can do this is by vetting people. That's the only way. And we haven't got anything like that put in place. But the way that it is at the moment, and the amount of people that are here in the UK already, in Europe, in fact, in the whole of the West, the amount of people that have migrated over here is too much. There needs to be a full halt and full stop for at least 10 years so we can catch up, and we can also get rid and drain the swamp of those who have come for the wrong reasons, those who have come to prey on the most vulnerable, or those who have come as sleeper cells for the Iranian regime. We need to get rid of them, and those that are sitting in our prison cells, costing us, the taxpayer, £54,000 or £56,000 a year, whatever it is. Again, a drain on society. They need to be gone. So Reform UK's policies on that, I agree with, but I still don't think it's radical enough. I believe UKIP or Ben Habib's party is probably the only way forward. Maybe Advance UK, they do have 4 years to play with. Maybe they will catch up with Reform. Maybe they will combine. But I believe the three-party establishment, what we once knew, is dead. Labour won't exist or get another term in 2029, and I don't think the Tories have a fighting chance unless they join with Reform, which Reform voters don't want. So if that did happen, then that could go in Ben Habib's favour. But anyway, guys, I must go. I love you. Thank you for staying patient with me with my videos. Thanks for staying with the channel. Thank you for all your support. Thanks for all those who shared. A little update for you. The day that the Online Safety Act came in, my main Facebook account got deleted, got disabled. So all my memories that I've made over the past 12 to 15 years, or the friends I have met over the past 12 to 15 years, or all my life even, all the photos and videos I have of friends, both alive and dead, have gone. All the albums that I had put aside of me and my family, children, Christmas times, days out, Halloweens, it's all gone. And this is part and parcel of the Prevent strategy after they visited me, and I am now down and documented and labelled on the police system, on their database, as a far-right extremist. So in their eyes, in the establishment's eyes, I am equally as bad as a terrorist, and I'm on a watch list, and they'll be monitoring me, censoring me. I'll be shadow banned, and I wasn't going to monetize this channel anyway, but they'll demonetize me anyway. I don't want money. That's one thing I don't do this channel for. And I have always said this, even on my last channel, I will not ever accept any money from YouTube, from any of my supporters. I will never ask you for any money, for any reason whatsoever. I will never ask you for super chats, memberships. They'll never be able to be set up because I will not set them up, because I don't do this for money. I'm not like, and I won't say their names, But believe me, I'm on their case, and I am going to reveal some names if it continues. They know who they are, and they are watching. I know you're watching. But let's just say we know that they've disappeared, legged it when they promised not to, and they make a living out of our misery whilst they live in luxury. Yeah, and it's not the first time neither that they've conned people. But we'll leave that at a later date. Anyway, guys, God bless you all. God bless the United Kingdom. Take care. May Christ be with you.